Welcome to another episode of Sports with Jones. I'm your host, Jabari Jones. Today I'm starting a new thing. I'm going through the top 5. I'm talking about NBA. I'm starting out today with the top 5 point guards of all time. You heard me, the top 5 point guards of all time. I'm going to give you my list. You can compare it with your list. Shoot me some feedback. Alright, so I got my top 5, but I left a few people off, so I'm gonna mention those people first. Then I'll start into the list. First of all, these are the honorable mention people, the people that didn't quite make my list. So on that list, I got the Big O, Oscar Robinson. I got Bob Cousy, or Bob Cousy, as some people say, and I got Penny Hardaway. I really like all three of them, but there's something about them that didn't quite make my list as the top 5, one of the top 5 point guards of all time. Penny Hardaway was number 6 because when he was on his game and he was in his prime and he wasn't hurt, he was a beast. And if he wouldn't have got hurt, he'd probably be on that list. He'd probably, jump into the top 2 or 3. But anyway, let's get started with the list. Coming in at number 5. On my list, I got Allen Iverson. That's right, Allen Iverson. Top 5 point guard. Number 5 on my list. He was drafted in 96 by the 76ers. He played a total of 14 seasons in the league. He averaged 26.7 points per game, 3.7 rebounds, 6.2 assists, and 2.2 steals. NBA MVP. 3-time first team NBA. His injury, his career got hampered, towards the end for numerous things, distractions, family issues, injuries, whatever. He got traded a few times, but still, when he was on his point and doing his thing, he was the best player in the league for a couple years. Now, let me tell you how I'm judging these people. I'm judging them by strictly court press. You can throw all the stats you want to throw at me, what they did and whatnot, but I judge a player strictly on court presence. When that player goes into the game, how does the game change? When that player is on a certain team, how does that team change? Does that team get better? Does that team get worse? Does that team have limitations because of that player? Now see, with these players that I'm mentioning, you're not getting that. You're not getting no limitations. You're getting a strictly, team boost when these players come into the game. That's why they on my top 5, okay? All right, so we've got Allen Iverson at number 5. Let's go on. Number 4, I got GP, none other than the Glove, Gary Payton. You know who he is, Gary Payton, drafted by the Supersonics in 1990. Played 16 seasons in the league, 16.3 points per game, 6.7 assists, and 1.8 steals. He was the Glove. He was known for his defense. He could lock down a point guard. And he could lock down a shooting guard, sometimes lock down a 3. He'd lock up the whole perimeter. That's how dominant a defensive player he was. He's the only point guard to get Defensive Player of the Year. Only one. All these seasons, all these point guards, all these awards, he's the only one to get Defensive Player of the Year. That's how strong his defense was. He wasn't scoring against him. He held Jordan to his lowest average against him. I mean, what can you say? Gary Payton, not only on defense, but on offense, he controlled the game. He was one of the first point guards to start posting a little guard up and bodying him. That's why I liked him. He controlled the game on offense and defense. 2-time NBA first teamer, 9-time all defensive NBA first team. He was a beast, and I wouldn't want to play against him. When Gary Payton came into the game, it was a game changer. He led the Supersonics to a few nice seasons. Almost came through with a championship. It wouldn't have been for Jordan, but you can say that about a lot of people. So, That was his downfall. He had Jordan to go through, then he had Shaq and Kobe to go through. He couldn't do it by himself, especially when Sean Kemp got hooked on crack. But anyway. Anyway, we go on to number 3 on my list. Top 10 point guards of all time. John Stockton. John Stockton, the little dude could ball. He had game. John Stockton, drafted in 1984 by the Utah Jazz, played a total of 19 seasons, averaged 13 points a game, 10.5 assists, 2.7 rebounds, 2.2 steals. That's a lot. 2.2 steals. 2-time All-NBA first team, Olympian, one of the 50 greatest players. You know, he played for the Jazz. Karl Malone, him and Karl Malone made that pick and roll famous. They could work it to perfection. Gary Payton was always going to find it. 10.5 steals average, that's a lot. He didn't score a lot because he had the mailman. So anyway, he balled. When he came into the game, he changed the floor of the game. When he played for Utah, he played the whole game. And that's what kept them, you know, as a top-notch Western Conference team for all those years that him and Karl Malone was together. You know, they never did win a championship because, of course, they had to go through Jordan. On top of that, they had to go through Shaq and Kobe and Gary Payton and the Supersonics. It was some good. It's always been good teams out west, and you know how it is. When you got Shaq and Kobe, in his time, you had Shaq and Kobe out west. You had Barkley. You had Olajuwon in Houston, and not only that, if you get past that, you got to deal with Jordan and Pippen. So 9 times out of 10, you ain't gonna win it. And you know they always win it. They almost won it. Everybody remembers the shot. So, you know, that put him down. You know, as the last straw. He went out with a bang. He had a great career. You know, I loved him as a player. He makes my number three all time. Let me get that right. 3. John Stockton's number 3 on my list. All right, let's move on. Number 2 point guard of all time now. This is the second best guy, Isiah Thomas. Isiah Thomas. Isiah Thomas, drafted in 1981 by the Pistons, played 13 seasons, 19 points a game, 9.3 assists, 1.9 steals, 3.6 rebounds, 2-time NBA champ, 2 rings, 1-time Finals MVP. What can you say about Zeke? He was a baller. He led the bad boy Pistons to 2 rings. One of them he got over Magic. You know, and both of them he had to beat Jordan out, but Jordan was young. That was back when he wasn't ready. But you know, Isiah Thomas changed the game because he was a type of player. He was a battler. The injuries didn't stop him. You know, all the stuff people were saying about him, that didn't stop him. He was going to play the game. He led his team. And his will to win carried them to those 2 championships. He didn't have a lot of talent with him. I think he had Dennis Johnson, and I think he had the Worm, and you know, all the bad boy Pistons, Miss Rick Mahorn. You know, it wasn't a deep team. They wasn't a flashy team, but they played defense. And Isiah Thomas led them with his court presence, his command of the offense, set the tone on defense as a point guard. There's so much you can say about him as a player. All I know is he's the second best point guard of all time. All right, let's go on. Number 1, greatest point guard of all time. I'm sure it's not a surprise to y'all. Magic Johnson. Irvin Magic Johnson. Started in 1975, drafted by the Lakers. He averaged 19 points a game, 11 assists, 1.9 steals, 7.2 rebounds, 3-time NBA MVP, 3-time Finals MVP. He's got 5 rings on his fingers. Hall of Famer, Olympian. I mean, the list goes on with the accolades this guy had. I mean, he was 6'8", 6'9", point guard, zooming down the court, dropping dimes to whoever, flashy passes, around the backs, showtime at the Lakers. It was crazy. Magic Johnson is what any team would want. A point guard that's big, can handle the ball, can pass, unselfish. All he wanted to do was win. He was the ultimate winner. And that's all he did was win. That's why he got 5 rings. 5 rings? It's hard to get 5 rings. But he did it because of his court presence. He commanded the offense, set the tone on defense. Magic was a point guard that could guard a power forward. He was big. He could guard the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. That's an MVP right there. He had all those good runs, all those good years. His career finally ended, with medical issues. But all in all, he's the number 1 point guard of all time. I don't think anybody can dispute that. All right, so that's my list. Top 5 point guards. Number 1, Magic Johnson. Number 2, Isiah Thomas. Number 3, John Stockton. Number 4, Gary Payton. Number 5, Allen Iverson. AI was the man. I don't care what you say. He was the man. He balled. He deserved to be on this list. In his prime, he balled. That's what my list is based on. In the prime. I don't care about, at the end of his career, he sucked. Yeah, everybody sucked at the end of their career. He did this, he did that. I don't care. If he was on his game, he led the Sixers, him and Eric Snow, to the finals. I don't know what more you can ask for. Ask the man to do. You and Eric Snow go take us to the promised land. All right, coach, say no more. That's AI right there. So anyway, Sports with Jones. I tried to make this video quick. That's my top 5 point guards of all time. Hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, tune back in. I'm gonna be posting top 5 shooting guards, top 5 small forwards, top 5 power forwards, top 5 centers. Stay tuned, Sports with Jones. Check me out on Facebook. Go like the page, Sports with Jones, hashtag SWJ. Tweet me at Sports with Jones. Get me on Google Plus Sports with Jones. So get at me, comment on the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, get on Facebook, like the page, tweet me, do all that for me, show you support, and especially if you don't like my list, shoot me back your list. I'll see what I can do.